Dan svima, hvala vam što ste došli. Tema današnje tribine je srpski džez tamo i ovde. Kao svojevrstan možda i presek stanja na srpskoj džez sceni, ali i određeni način da damo savet mladim muzičarima na koji način da pristupe svojoj karijeri, gradeći je, bilo da su došli sa neke strane akademije u Srbiju, bilo da su započeli karijeru odavde ili da su pak rešili da nastave da grade karijeru u inostranstvu. Sa nama je nekoliko gostiju, Irina Karamarković koja živi i radi u Austriji, Uroš Spasojević iz Valjeva, Dejan Ilijić iz Niša i naš dragi gost iz Velike Britanije Bob Weir. Dalje ćemo nastaviti na engleskom, kako zbog Boba, tako i zbog stranih novinara koji su tu sa nama. I would like to start with Dejan, of course. Dejan, how should a young musician start his career in terms of approaching the foreign audience if he's not in Belgrade, if he's not in some big major center in Europe? What was your way to approach the foreign audience and foreign promoters? How did you manage to do that?
Yeah, well, first of all, hello to everyone. Well, it's getting easier and easier, and in our time when we started 10 years ago, internet started to grow. So, in my opinion, it's if you live in Niš or Valjevo or in Belgrade, it doesn't matter now, because internet is everything, and that is how we started to get in touch with festivals, clubs, promoters, and I guess 50% of our gigs all around the world were booked like just through internet and emails and even Facebook lately. So that's it. It's getting easier, and it's good to go to places like Jazz Ahead or Vomex and stuff. So there are more and more opportunities. On the other side, there are more and more competition. So.
But when you started, you didn't have any management, PR agency or anything. You did just everything by yourself.
Yeah, well, it's still practically the same. We do the most of the job alone. So we met some people in other countries when we played there, and so we started to work with them. But if you don't work alone, and no one's gonna work like just yourself for you. So. Because the booking agencies, like big booking agencies, they're like selling McDonald's stuff, because they just want to sell some band of their rooster. So, if it doesn't matter who they will sell. I guess by the end of our career, it will stay the same in some level.
So basically, you think it's maybe better to work by yourself than with some agency?
Yeah, and especially if you want to keep your freedom and your life and the tempo, how fast you want to work, how many days you want to go and take a vacation or something. It's for me, it's better to keep everything in your hands. And sometimes, all of us, we dream about big stages and big careers and stuff. And then I see, for example, Go-Go Penguin, which is at the moment probably the biggest band on the scene. Maybe people don't know about them, but they'll play like 150 gigs on the biggest places in the world. And you can ask yourself, would I will like to do something like this, in my life now? So 150 gigs a year, it's like 300 days you're not at home. So it depends on who wants to do it. Yeah. maybe I'm getting older. But
Uroš, how did you started your work with Abstract Logics recording label?
Recording label and fusion brand.
Yeah.
Keywords are preparations and informations. I think that is the most important thing. Collecting informations to be able to find the right email address and to find some people who are eager to listen to you. That is, I think, most important thing because we are coming from Serbia. That is one proper problem for some people, you know. I think that USA, United States of America, is a good market for that, you know. In my humble opinion, of course, for the start, the young artist must prepare for that kind of promotion. You must collect all the informations, and that is the starting point for next big things. So I had a luck because I found some people. They are very open-minded, open-hearted for some artists from Serbia or all over the world.
So did you contacted some directly from the recording label?
Yeah. But
and when you think about it, you must think about it as there are hundreds and thousands of musicians contacting them. So what was your way to do something different to attract their attention?
It's a very, very good question. But the most important part is music, of course. You must create some music that will be very interesting for them. You must be different than the others. I play bass guitar, so I found some unusual, unconventional way of playing bass guitar. A totally opposite. I play something about melodic, ambiental, calm way of playing, and that was the opposite. In order to express myself, because you know bassists are very angry people. So you know I found that man who really liked my music, and then we set up some good collaboration. Thank you.
Irina, you've been for a while in Austria. Can you compare the situation in Serbia and in Austria in terms of managing your career, in terms of booking, promotion, and so on?
In terms of booking and promotion, we are in an era where you really need to do all of the stuff yourself, as you said. We need to make ourselves interesting, as he said, because there are many people playing. This is like everywhere the same. You even have more musicians in Austria or in New York than even more, and so on and so on. But we have a global world, and there are some things which are really better in Serbia, like presence. Television, radio, journalists are writing about it. So a couple of years ago I had a gig in Jazz Bashta, and there was a journalist, and he came and he wrote about it. And the day after my gig, or 2 days after my gig, you know, there was a musical critic about it in the newspapers. And this is not happening anymore in Austria. So even when somebody really dies, I don't know if you know Erich Bachtregel, but he was really a very important drummer in Austria, and he just dies, and they are not playing any concert of his. So you cannot see that anymore. So this is better here. What's really worse is, like, I sent it to Dragan Ambrosić, for example, Sokoj. I got 0.65 cents from Sokoj in year 2011 in my whole life, in my whole career span. And somebody really definitely listened to me also in Serbia. So I know moments where I definitely was present on the radio or in television. So this is kind of like a joke. In terms of management, you need to do everything yourself. You also need to take care of your own sound, and you need to be your technician and your promoter, and you are in the position to say, I'm a great potato, please buy me. So, which is basically what I stopped doing a long time ago. And I don't think that there's a way to do it which can function for everybody. I can only say how I'm doing it and how I find it right and how it feels. Yeah. So what's different? Technical stuff. You know, like you have better clubs with better pianos and pianinos. You have more money, so no shillings, no feelings. Because this is my job, I need to eat what I sing and eat what I produce. What else? Academic institutions. What I recently also said, like we have this faculty, this department for jazz and popular music. I'm not sure if it's only for jazz or jazz and popular music in Belgrade, 47 years after jazz department in Graz happened. So this is obviously how old is jazz? So you can, you know, like, we are late as far as this is concerned. What else? I mean, there are so many things. Like, I can start and never end with this comparison. Maybe we need to do it more precise.
Yeah, we'll be maybe we'll have more topics ongoing. Back in the 90s, Serbian jazz. If anybody wanted to make Serbian jazz visible in anywhere else than Serbia, many musicians played some kind of ethno jazz, world jazz, and that kind of fusion. So nowadays, maybe 20 years after, is it changing in Austria or in Europe? Does people expect from Serbian musicians to hear some ethnic-oriented jazz? Is it important to be visible?
I don't really give a damn what people expect. So I cannot really answer on that question. You see, if they want me to, you know, to wear some other T-shirt, you know, and maybe, you know, do something in an ethnic costume, that's their problem completely. So, you see, we have this culture of Kusturica movies and Goran Bregović, and these things were our main export. And also some world music artists, which are really successful. So we have that. So they are going to expect their music from them, I guess, if they're fans. I don't also know what I'm expecting from myself, because my projects are very different. Like, I did this and then something else I want to do at that point, so I just do it. And then when it's finished, I think about how am I going to sell it, right? Not the other way around. So this is, if they expect, but we would need to define who that is. Who are they? Why would they expect? There's a friend of mine, a psychologist. She said, nothing can hurt oneself except expectations. So, and I don't think it really matters. I don't think that there are like kind of Serbian musicians and American musicians, like when we meet, we have very similar backgrounds. Like I went to Skopje in April, and next week I'm in Germany, and when I come back to Graz, and so on and so on, and like kind of we have the same language, which is the language of improvised music, and we've been listening to the same recordings. We've been reading kind of like that stuff you see over there mostly, like Dubravka Ugrešić, and a Croatian colleague brought me my special effect because it broke from Zagreb. So this is I think very, very global. And you see, my mother is born in Sarajevo. I also have Bosnian citizenship. And now the whole thing with Kosovo, you know, I might have a Kosovarian citizenship. You see, so who am I?
Dan, how would you say about this topic? Do you find some expectations when you approach to foreign journalists, producers, concert organizers, and do you feel that they have any expectations of you towards in that terms of promoting some Serbian ethnic jazz, or is it changed now completely?
No, some of them, maybe audience is expecting like to hear Goran Bregović everywhere we go, you know, and then when we start playing, it's like, what is this? So, but you know, it's something that it is. So Goran Bregović is probably the biggest name, and he opened the door for all that kind of music. So, but as she said, we don't care about that. We just do what we do. So, you know, and for promoters and like directors, and I think they are aware of that there is a party music, there is an art music. So, but I don't know. We have a lot of like ethno stuff in our music, but it wasn't intentionally. So, in, you know, like odd time rhythms and stuff, it's always interesting for everyone outside of Balkans. Maybe it is our secret weapons from time to time.
Uroš?
Sincerely, I don't have ethno motives in my music. I just play some music that I hear in my head. I really like classical music. So for me, music is pure joy. I don't have any expectation. Just a hope that someone will like it, and that is my only journey, only way.
Bob, I would like to talk to you about not just your perception of Serbian jazz, but the way of foreign journalists think about the musicians approaching them from some maybe not smaller countries or smaller market, which is not so much familiar in the European jazz scene, like the Serbian jazz scene. So you probably get maybe not thousands, but tens or hundreds of CDs from all around the world. Yeah. So when you get all those CDs, how do you decide to hear, for example, some Serbian band? What kind of approach do you prefer when somebody talks to you about his or her music?
Well, I don't really think of it in those terms. Everything starts and ends with the music. I've been coming to the festival here for, I don't know, a dozen years or so. So that's my exposure to Serbian jazz. And over that time, I've come to appreciate, I don't know, 15, 20 excellent bands, top class, world class, equivalent to the best in most European countries. But they don't have the exposure, they don't have the recognition, certainly in the UK. That may be a particular problem because we tend to be rather insular in the UK and don't welcome, open our arms to bands from abroad quite as much as in the rest of Western Europe. But if the music is good and distinctive, as the best Serbian bands are, there's plenty of opportunity to develop and open new markets. How to do it is, is a different matter, and I know it's very, very difficult, and it usually comes down to the initiatives of the musicians themselves. There are interested people and promoters, but on the whole, it's fairly small beer compared, say, with the more accepted areas of music, classical music, opera and ballet. They get the subsidies. Jazz gets what's left over, which is usually insignificant. And I've never known of a government to build and open a jazz club, but they invest millions and millions in opera houses and concert halls. So I think that attitude has to be changed. I don't know, I don't have a program for doing it, but as a journalist I can do my little bit by sharing my enthusiasms. If I like something, it doesn't matter whether it's from Serbia or Mongolia, I'll write about it and try to encourage other people to at least listen to it. We need to get greater exposure through the media. We mentioned the internet, that certainly is a great innovation and helps a great deal, but I don't know what it's like here, but in the UK there's virtually no jazz on TV, very, very rarely on mainstream radio, and yet there is the appreciation. All of the surveys I've seen show that the attendances at jazz and buying records and listening to jazz are equivalent to those other musical art forms, and yet they get all the glory and all the support. I can only finish by saying, as I said at the beginning, the music is the start and the finish of it all. If the quality is good and gets better, I think gradually people will come to appreciate it and hopefully give opportunities for bands to travel and becoming exposed in these other markets. That's my wish anyway.
Okay. I've talked to a couple of Serbian jazz musicians working here and abroad. For example, they had experiences that they got reviewed in some good magazines like Silar Mezej or Dusan Jeftović from Spain. But yet when I speak to them, they say that they cannot make some, how would you say, more exposure, more gigs. So for me it was a strange thing that they think the reviews from the foreign critics, they didn't have any that much influence on their careers in terms of booking and touring and playing their music. Why do you think that is the case?
Well, I'm certainly aware of the point you're making, because whenever these top quality bands are reviewed, when the CDs do get to journalists in the UK, they invariably get excellent reviews. But that's normally the beginning and the end of it. There isn't the structure, the means of following up and leading to tours or bookings. Record labels like Metropolis, who are putting out some of the most exciting music from this country, all of them are of superb quality, and they're getting good recognition. But I think maybe we have to be more imaginative in the way we use the organisation of jazz promotion. Maybe we can go back to jazz exchanges. I don't know whether you know the experience in the UK. Yeah, we had like 50 or 60 years of no American musicians visiting the UK because of union disputes. When it was slowly opened up 30, 40 years ago, it was on the basis of a direct exchange between an American band playing here in the UK and a British band getting work in the States. Maybe some scope for to think of doing that, but it does need a structure, an organisation to make these things happen. Other than that, you've just got to keep trying.
Yes.
You already have that. Like, it's a Match and Fuse festival, and they are like doing it all over the world with other countries. So it's a like job for Milica and Dragan to get in touch with them. But it is one of the ways to exchange the bands from here and there. England, it's hard to enter market. We managed to play once and to get the album there, but we also have a problem with visas.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's, but it's not.
Will get worse.
Yeah, that will get worse. Yeah. So, but they have you have a good structure. You have at least jazz magazines. I don't know, and you have a BBC, like 10 radio shows that are playing jazz music. And in my opinion, I think the market of jazz music is the best in the UK, in the whole Europe, and then there is Germany and France.
Well, you mentioned Milica and the wonderful job she does. What we need are lots more Milicas.
Irina, what do you think about the correlation between reviews and making money of your music? Is there a correlation, or is it just a prestige thing?
How many of you, not journalists, I'm not talking journalists and scientists, are actually reading reviews? Seriously? Okay. A lot more than I thought, but if we translate that to the rest of the world, like people don't do that. They don't read long biographies anymore. It's so boring, who studied with whom, and it's all the same. So the reviews, I think they are important, truly, and basically because of the deals with labels and magazines, I know when I publish my record and I'm going to publish it for Winter and Winter or ECM or GLM or whatever, then I can get the reviews. If I'm publishing it on a if I release it and it's going to be an underground label or regional structured label with distributional problems, then nobody's going to know about it. But this game is really changing. Many things changed during last 20 years. Like before, you needed to have an American musician playing in a band. You needed to have, maybe, yes. As far as the singers are concerned, probably yes. Then you needed to have reviews, and you needed to have quotes, like some other very important singer. I mean, this is what my colleagues did. Like, okay, he's a good potato, please buy him. He has an impeccable sound, and so on and so on. And then, but we forgot the audience, I think. We forgot those changes, like what they're listening to. What's today, year 2018. You know, I cannot sing Jeepers Creepers. I have Nazis in Austria attacking, you see, zombie apocalypse. So we need to think where we are, why we are. Do we need reviews, or we need statements more? Or we need, you know, kind of like maybe become more political about what we do. And yeah, sure, I was so thankful to read Bob's review of me, and it helped me a lot. But I think we need to do more than just expect that these reviews are going to help a lot.
Uroš, what's your experience with foreign journalists and their impact on your career?
Foreign reviews were very, very important to me, because it is very hard nowadays. We are living in fast food world, you know, and they helped me to rise my music, and they helped me for collaboration with other musicians from USA, from Norway, and etc. So I think it is very helpful for some unknown musician or artist or something like that. So I think it is very, very important in the start, and after that you have all the necessary things that are very important for success. So I think it is very, very important, but I agree with Irina, that is very, very hard battle in the music world nowadays.
Maybe in last 10 or 15 years there were some progress in Serbian jazz in terms of infrastructure. As we said, there is a department on the Faculty of Music, and also maybe there are more festivals than 10 or 15 years ago. There are more musicians, but yet we are all aware that not so many musicians can make a living out of just playing jazz music. So in a practical way, what is more needed to be done to make a jazz musician in Serbia living out of strictly from jazz music? What do you think?
Educate your audience. You are not playing, I am not playing in my bathroom for myself. I do when I practice, I do stuff for myself. But this work with audience, you see, while we are doing jazz festivals, they are listening to Ceca, Lordi, and the rest. Make Sokoj pay us. Make people pay us. I need to eat what I sing. You know, it would be an awful waste if we would, you know, just do if I would just do another job because I cannot survive. And absolutely nobody lives on jazz only. Like people have, the plan B is like teaching. Like then they work in orchestras, they work in theater performances, they work they are going to play a wedding, they work in service. So this is when you combine all of this, then you can survive. We need to, how could we do it? That's more the question. We need, as I see it, in Serbia we need organized regional structures. Like one example is like Jazz Werkstatt Vienna. Do you know them? Like they were new musicians, young musicians, and they realized they cannot wait forever to reach Christoph Huber, who is making a program in Porgy and Bess, which is the most important club in Austria. Like, and you just can't reach him. And you are never going to play there. So what they did is they raised their own money, and they made a regional structure, and they organized their own festival. And this is how they started. And then Graz Jazz Werkstatt, started, and then they kind of started to communicate with Italian musicians, with Norwegian musicians. Like they opened themselves for different people and started making different collaborations. So this is very important for me, to organize ourselves politically. It is about cultural politics. Now, this is how I see it.
Dan?
Well, I must say for Sokoj, it's difficult with them, but in the last 3 years, we are living from it. Because you have to control them a lot. You have to control their how do you say, the list of the TV emitter. Yeah, appearance. So we have managed to do that because the 1 year, it was 2015, and I knew that RTS played our concert from Belgrade Jazz Fest in 20 times on national TV, and I received the appearance, it was none. So that is the first time I called them and I say, okay, I will sue you and stuff. The next year, everything started to be okay, and it's getting better, but you still have to control them on your own. So there is, you have to do their job, but, it's
So there should be a musicians union maybe to do that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, they have to do it. Sokoj have to do it. They have to track the program of national TV, and just it's not that hard. But also they have a concourse for sponsorship, and every year, so we received money 2 times already. And there is, in last 2 years, Ministry of Culture, they are giving the money for mobility. So you can get I think 1,500 euros for Europe traveling, and 2,500 for intercontinental flights. And it's getting better if you look it that way. So, but I also have to say, not that I'm here, I won't talk about Nishville and good stuff they are doing, but I must say for Belgrade Jazz Fest, the last few years, they are getting, they're helping young bands to get in touch with all of these journalists, and they're giving them a chance to play in front of, let's say, world markets. So when you get to review in Downbeat or Jazz Wise, or all about jazz and everything, so it's a great step. I think Belgrade Jazz Fest is one of the institutions who is building, who is going in the right direction. We have to build our things here, and with better work of Sokoj, of course, and to get to be more strong, to have more money to invest in, and to let's say attack the market from here, not to try to go there. And that is my opinion. In 10 years, I'm now back to the basis, and I think that's the right way for us now. So because we tried everything, I collaborate also with Edition Records, with Dave. We book them, we hire them for promotion, and it was great. We get the BBC, radio, all the magazines in the UK. But it's not enough. This is about the things about the review. You have to be promotion campaign, it's really expensive to make your name like big. It's really expensive. But in this circle, like having a strong institution here connected with government, Ministry of Culture. So we can take the example of Switzerland. They are paying like a lot of money for some bands, and they can go and play all around the world for, they can play for zero money, and so every festival will take them, So there are many things we can speak about, but my opinion that it's getting better, much better, and if we see how many young people are playing jazz, and now there are more and more bands that they are managing to go out and play. If we go in that direction, in 10 years, 10 years, Serbian school of jazz could be like well known in Europe, because we are talented overall. That's for sure. But and we have a lot of friends outside of Serbia now. When I say we now, I think about my band, and musicians are great guys and girls, so everywhere, and they want to help, but they have their own structures and they work with them. I know a lot of managers from England, like Kirsten McNess and from Gogo Penguin and Mike Chadwick, Snarky Puppy, and they like our music very, very much. But, they have their own bands there, and it's much easier, and you have to understand it like it's market. It's, why to work with some band which you cannot sell for 2,000 euros when you can sell someone for 20,000. So we have to make it from here. And it will happen, because Belgrade, it's a not small city, from much smaller city as there are successful stories in Europe.
Uroš, you're a lawyer in your non-musical life. So, do you ever think of quitting your job and completely committing yourself to making your music? Is there that thought in your mind, and what would happen for you to think about it?
Yeah, that is very important for artists to be free. I'm free because I don't have any expectations, and I don't have pressures in money terms, But it is quite a relief. It is quite a relief, and that is for me most important things, to be able to be free 100%. But I know it is very difficult. It is very difficult to sell your jazz products, or any product. It's very tough. So we must do something together to be able to promote ourselves as a Serbian union. Something like that, Serbian Union of Jazz Musicians, or something like that. I think it will be more better for all of us. And I think it is most important thing, like Dejan said, to be able to start from here. Base must be in your hometown or homeland. And I think that is the very important thing for young musicians.
I would like to address to the audience if you wish to ask some questions to our guests.
I'll try to explain to you how
we can hear.
Right? How the people make decision to invite a Serbian band in foreign country, for example. If I never been here, I never heard your music, I know nothing about it. And thank you, Weir, they invite me here, and I start to think about what's the fish and oil music, or bring your music to Russia, and you said that sell it or not. I never thinking about the possibility of selling jazz. Selling jazz is the most impossible things ever because it's more fun. Lawyer, builders, constructors, wine dealers, they are doing money and they are doing profit. How you can make profit on the jazz? This is impossible. But, for example, I'm really curious. I have a curiosity to bring just aficionado and Hashima to my country just to say that's a Serbian jazz, that's a Serbian musician. They are top in Serbia, and maybe you like them also. And of course, I don't have any institution to ask, can you help me to bring, no profit, just to bring the guys, just to give them, I do my job to make some space, advertising, the radio, I can do this. But I'll tell you that 1 year ago, I go 10 Serbian restaurants in my city. I have 10 Serbian restaurants in the city. And most of them, 3 of them are really big and top, like tough guys. And I said to them, all right, can you support the Serbian Day of Jazz? Just to cover the bills. Maybe we can bring some audience and we can bring the guys, we have some party, we can drink, eat. They said, is there any profit there? The restaurants are thinking about profit. I said, guys, probably no profit. But we have lots of fun. Not really interested. And the different point is, for example, if you put advertising in the street here, Russia and Serbia is brothers, right? And I think that more understandable each other. But if I put advertising like Serbian jazz in Krasnodar, the people totally doesn't know anything. Maybe I have a very interesting thing. I have a picture of Fishanol on my jazz exhibition in the top city, and some people saying, "Who are these guys?" And I said, "Google it. It's easy. Like the Fishanol, even they have music. You can listen to music." And they, next day they called me and said, "Oh, I listen this because of internet, and I like it very much because I play fusion style." And I understand this works. And from my point, I really want, and I'd like to do this, like Serbian Day in my city in the festival, or not festival, just like a program, just to share that. I don't know what institution I can ask, because I'm never working with any kind of government support. Everything what I'm doing, I do on my own. I understand. And I think that you have a future, because guys, you have unbelievable festival. Every day you have full people of audience. You must be lucky that everything happens, that so much people like this. I mean, you must be say yes, cool.
And we are happy, we look happy.
Can I say? You should call Yuri Lenogradsky from Dubna, because we played in more than 20 cities in Russia. So no one gave us money or no. So it's we had like 500 people in Krasnoyarsk. So it is possible. It is possible. So Russia, it's a good market, and Kozlov Club. First time when we played, we had 5 people. Now this year we had full club. So you cannot do it at once, but. Like in 5 years, you cannot go with some country and say, okay, I'm the biggest band, and just. So it's possible, and it's up on the bands. If you want to bring Fishinol or Hashima, you send them invitation, and they have to find a way how to come. It's not, so.
Just say it as a sample.
Yes,
Sample,
but.
Because you have 100 bands.
Yes, but it is possible, because. We played at the Daniel Kramer's 2 festivals in Omsk. If you want to do it, I think you could do it.
Izvoli.
Do I have your permission to send the parts that I've recorded of this presentation to my friend that really likes jazz?
It's a question for Milica here. Actually. Just a moment.
We are doing the audio recording of the debate, so we will publish it also, I think, for YouTube and our channel, so you can share it, please. Whoever.
I would like to share the specific parts, not the whole thing, just the specific parts.
Whatever you wish.
Thank you.
Of course, it's important to as many people possible, young people, young musicians,
Thank you.
to hear it. Actually, we invited
Thank you.
everyone from jazz department at Music Academy and Stanković, so I hope some of them are here. Yeah, maybe.
Is somebody here from Stanković and Jazz Department? No.
Music Academy? No. Well, if I can
You called
add,
it.
our idea was mainly to gather them. And yeah, we have like great cooperation for the concerts and inviting them to play an off program and giving them like passes to watch the concerts. But I hope in future they will participate more in those kind of events that we are organizing basically for them.
Well, first of all, congratulations for the leaving of the Belgrade Jazz Festival after more than 30 years, 34, and for the interest of preparing this kind of panels and discussions, always positive to know much better each other and to share experiences. One of my questions and reflection is that I don't know if there is, well, one of the things that I think it's very positive is the connection with the cultural embassy or institution of foreign countries to make easy to foreign bands to come to play here, like the Goethe Institute or the Cervantes or Institut Ramon Llull from Catalonia, exactly, etc. I don't know if there exists a similar institution in Serbia. And the other is that I've met in from different countries in Jazz Ahead, for instance, a compilation of records on the bands of the same country. I think that's very interesting. And the other reflection and questions is I agree with the reflections of Bob. Well, he's a very experienced man and a master about jazz knowledge and jazz communication, really. And I agree with him with the trouble of the control of the media, because the difficulty is to make, I'm broadcasting this music in the radio station in my hometown, a small local radio in Tarragona. But even in according with what Oleg said, if I haven't not been invited to come here, things that I agree, I thank very much, I rarely have had an idea of the Serbian jazz music. And now I can say that I have played and broadcast different bands in my program, and I will keep doing. And so it's about the curiosity that allows me the interest and my passion for this music that I'm traveling and doing this. But the question is, I don't know, I have not a solution, but the problem to make easy to broadcast this music, to make possible to broadcast this music in general media. And this is, I think, a great, great problem. Now we have internet and it's possible. It's necessary the curiosity of the audience. And I think that to make them curious, they have to at least know, have some reference, because if not, how can I be curious in the food of Kamchatka? I don't know if nobody explains me about it. And it's nice. And the other thing, it's the education. I ask these days some people interested around the musical education here, and I suppose that it's of high quality, and I express myself in this way. And the answer was, could be better. And I don't know if jazz and classical music goes together in the same conservatories. There is jazz departments or not. And last but not least, I have to say that you can be very proud of Serbian jazz bands. This year, I attended for the first time to the European Jazz for the Young Bands competition that was held for the first time in Marciac, and next year will be held in Copenhagen. It was up till now in Rotterdam, but that were not very good conditions. And let me tell you, I think that you know, I don't know if the foreigners knows that one of the Serbian bands was in the fourth that achieved the final in Marciac, was the Scheme Trio plus 2. I can say that for unexpected reason, I was a part of the jury, and I enjoy very much that competition, and the music that they offer, and was a pleasure to share it with Bojan Pantic, who I think his kindness and you all. Thank you.
I have just one more question to Bob Weir, just to little summarize everything. Bob, you've been traveling around the world to visit jazz festivals for many, many years. I think there is not many European countries where you haven't been to listen to jazz. You went as far as Namibia, Barbados, Israel to listen to jazz. So right now the question is there really something like a national school of jazz of each countries? Or this is just a creation of journalists? There's the school of jazz of Italian school of jazz, Serbian school of jazz. Or this is...
In terms of the sound of the music or in institutions?
Yes, there's the sound of the music. Are we talking about one style of jazz, or this is just how it's developed, a bit different way in each country?
I think the most important feature of contemporary jazz is that it's it's as wide and as varied as life itself. That's a good thing, in my opinion. It does make it difficult for some people, I think, who like to compartmentalize everything and put labels on things. You can't do that anymore. Jazz is whatever musicians want to play, and they'll combine influences from their own lives, from what they hear and their experiences, and that's how good quality music, or all arts, not just music, all arts develop. So to some extent, I think you can see national characteristics in the music, particularly countries like Serbia, which have a strong folk tradition. That feeds into the music and gives it a cohesive sort of sound. Although I think that's less important than individual expression and getting across the passion and the feelings of life. So to answer your question, in a limited way, yes, I think there are some ways of recognizing each country's music, but I wouldn't pay too much attention to it. I'm glad that was a shorter question. Russian questions and Spanish questions seem to be very long.
So, Uroš said something very important, like, I've been talking about that for years, but it seems like no one understood me about having the freedom of your own music with your other full-time job. And I think it's very important for young people to know that they have a choice, that they don't have to commit all their time to music, and that they can earn money elsewhere and then use their talent to be completely free and express themselves how they want. That's it.
Thank you very much, but that is my example. You know,
yeah.
It's very individual. I have full-time job, and music is just my hobby. But you know, everyone has individual way, individual path. So it's very subjective individually. So I had really luck. I'm really lucky to find a way how to be a lawyer and how to be a musician in hobby terms, you know. So thank you very much for that.